Hey.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we have a problem.
What's up, my mini makers? Welcome to another episode of Tiny Tim's Minis. For those of you that do not know, I am Tim, and on this channel I take big things and I make them small. This week we made something medium large. It's still technically small, but it's still pretty big. We're making a cat astronaut. What? A cat astronaut? Do you ever have an idea that is in your brain and then it won't leave your brain until you do something about it? That was this. One day I just had an idea of a cat astronaut and then it wouldn't leave. And I couldn't think of any more ideas for builds. So we're doing a cat astronaut. And I think he came out pretty possum. I'm sorry, that joke was clawful. I'm just kidding around.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
So, before we get into it, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you like what you see, hit that thumbs up. If you don't like what you see, hit that thumbs up. Comment down below if there's anything you want to see me make. I think that's it. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. So I started off, I drilled some holes and then put some bamboo skewers in where his legs were going to be because I didn't want to put the armature in just yet. And then I coated the base in some bacon bond and aluminum foil. I made a couple mistakes here. I needed more bacon bond for one, and I needed to press down harder on the aluminum foil because there was some cracking in the clay when I baked it. But I just coated the base in some super sculpty. The aluminum foil gave it a nice rock texture, but I wanted to add a little bit more, so I used a rock. If you want rock texture, use a rock. It's fantastic. The aluminum foil did give it some nice shape, but the rock really made it nice. I tried to get fancy with a pencil and I glued a rock to it. It did help a little bit just to define some of the bigger rocks I wanted, but I really just liked pushing it with that rock. And for some smaller rocks, I just took my rock and I pushed it into some balls of clay and I made tiny rocks. I could have used rocks from outside, but I didn't want to go outside. I wanted to add some craters because it is the moon and there are craters. So I just rolled some little rolls of clay, pushed it in, gave it some indents, and then just kind of smoothed it out. I pinched it up a little bit. It's really nice. Making the moon texture was really easy. I wanted to give it some smaller indents, so I just grabbed one of my sculpting tools and I just stabbed it in. And it was very satisfying. It made a nice little noise. All the noise in the background wasn't great because I was playing music, so I didn't have anything, but it was really satisfying. This is the second armature I made. The first armature I didn't take my time on bulking it out. This is just regular Sculpey that I have lying around. I don't like the white Sculpey. It's too sticky and too tacky. My hands are too warm, so it melts it really quickly. But I just bulked out his torso and kind of gave him some shape so I didn't have to waste as much Sculpey. I could have used aluminum foil, but a lot of the sculpting tutorials and stuff that I watch, they use like Sculpey Ultralight, but I just had this Sculpey lying around. And then just bulk out the rest of the body with some Super Sculpey Original. This is the final layer of clay that I'm going to be adding. On top of this clay, I'm just going to be adding a bunch of details. And at this point, I'm adding, as Ace of Clay would say, some stinks of clay. I really can't think of another way to say it. But this is just adding some texture and some detail onto the clothing. I was looking at some poses of people in the same position and looking at how their clothes were wrinkling up. And this is kind of how they were looking. Again, it's my first time doing it, so I think it came out really nice. It was a lot of fun. Definitely a learning curve, but hopefully I can use this in some of my other builds. It took a long time to smooth everything out. I was kind of surprised. At this point, I wanted to add, this is all just detail. We're adding a lot of detail. We're adding a little belt buckle. I thought it was too thin, so I added a second belt on top of that. And then I wanted to add a cute little belt buckle. So I was like, what could I add as a belt buckle? What would a cat have as a belt buckle? And I'm like, it would probably have a paw. It would have a little paw as a belt buckle, and I thought that was adorable, so that's what we did. We added a little paw for a belt buckle. There was just a lot of detail in this build. I didn't want to add everything because then it would have been like 45 minutes long, and we don't want a 45-minute video. Unless you do, comment down below, but I don't think anyone wants a 45-minute video of me rambling on about something. I wouldn't mind, but, you know. But the details were a lot of fun to add. I had an idea of what I wanted, but I was just kind of going with the flow. I was going to try to make it like a realistic spacesuit, but I didn't want that, so I was like, let me do a bit more stylistic on this one. On the back, I wanted to add just like the insignia of whatever astronaut space camp they are running. I put CAT. I was trying to figure out an acronym for CAT. Like, I didn't know what the C would stand for. I knew the A was gonna be astronaut. T, I have no idea. So if you can figure something out, comment down below. I'd like to hear what acronyms you come up with. So the arm was basically the same as the leg. It was adding some clay on. I wanted to save the arms for last, just because I wanted to get all the detail good on the torso and the legs before I added a bunch of stuff in the way. I just had the snakes of clay. I'm sorry, Ace of Clay. If you don't like me saying snakes of clay, just let me know, and I'll make something else up. But I added these just for wrinkles. Again, look at reference photos. It's pretty simple. I wanted the cat to be holding something, so I made a flag. I rolled some aluminum foil out into a little square. The first flag I made was way too big. It was about the size of my hand, and it was a giant triangle, and it looked really bad. So I remade it. I just added the aluminum foil in there for some stability, because if I just had a piece of clay, it would probably end up breaking at some point, and I didn't want that. At the end, I put a little shish kebab skewer at the end, rolled it up, good to go. And I wanted to make it look like a little American flag, so I cut out a bunch of little tiny fish, which was so satisfying to cut it out. I just like blacked out and started cutting fish, and it was a lot of fun. And then I added a little paw for like the little stars up at the top. Adorable. You can't say it's not adorable. For the face, this was the third face I made. Again, it was a lot of trial and error for this. The first two faces were very spooky and very stern looking. I was like, we can't have a stern looking cat. We need a cute cat. When you think of cats, you're like, oh man, look at that stern looking cat. No, you want a cute cat. So I looked up a bunch of cute cat pictures and tried to imitate that in this face. And I think it came out good. Again, it's my first time making any like faces. Most of the faces I make are terrifying monsters. Like my chupacabra and my slug-eating monster. Also, go check out those videos, links up above. But I've never done anything cute, so we did something cute this time. The ears were kind of annoying because I could not figure out placement. It took me way too long to figure out. Put them up a little closer and they look like ears, because when they were far back, they just looked like weird braids or horns or something. And I was like, what's going on? Why does this not look right? I was like, oh, scoot it up. You got yourself some cat ears. The details I added, again, all the details on here were just kind of aesthetics. I wanted it to look nice, and these are the things I came up with. There was a lot of just playing around with ideas, and this, I think, came out really nice. I like the little rivet holes, little lines in there, and there's, again, a lot of details on here I didn't want to show because, again, the video would have been like 45 minutes long. I added a little fur texture on there with my favorite tool. It's a little wire brush. It does wonderful things. And then I went in a little bit more detail with a little needle nose looking metal tip thing. Again, I don't know how to say it. For the paint job, I coated everything in black. I didn't show me painting the rocks. All I did for the rocks was I did the black, then I did a gray dry brushing, and then I did a white dry brushing. And you got yourself some rocks. For the suit, I just kept going I started with a dark gray, and then I kept going lighter and lighter until I felt it looked nice. I just want to add like the shadows. I started with the shadows, the dark gray, and then I kept adding lighter and lighter for the highlights. And I think it came out nice. It added like a weird kind of cartoony looking style to it, which I really liked. I showed a picture of it to my dad. My dad was like, I thought that was a picture online that you wanted to sculpt. I didn't realize it was your sculpture. I was like, cool. So it came out kind of the way I wanted it to. It added like a nice cool texture that I really liked. Then I just kind of added some little details here and there, a little pop of color, added his collar, his belt buckle, his little gold chain right there. For the face, I didn't know what color I wanted to do. I decided on an orange. I started with a very bright orange because I wanted to add some white on the bottom. So this would kind of add like the nice ombre effect. You would have the white going into light, then going into dark. I added the white. He started to look like a fox. I was like, oh man, that would have been cool, like a fox astronaut. But there's not a lot of good puns you can do with a fox astronaut. CATSTRONAUT, you see? Easy. For the eyes, I did a nice gold. Then I added some lighter gold in there for some detail. And the eyes came out great. They looked a little bit derpy at first because I made it look a bit like, not cross-eyed, but the opposite of cross-eyed. And I fixed it eventually, but he looked super derpy. For the flag, red, white, and blue. That's all I gotta say. I threw it on the colors. I think it looked really nice. It was really cute. I really enjoyed how this whole sculpt came out. And before you yell at me, yes, I did try to make a face shield. I started off with a clay kind of dome that I made, and then from there I made a mold out of hot glue, and then from there I filled, this isn't the original hot glue mold, I filled the hot glue mold with resin, and then I carved out a little hole, and then I sanded it and everything, and it didn't come out super smooth, and I tried like 2 times and it didn't work. So yes, we do have a cat that doesn't have a face shield, but know that I tried. This sculpt, it was a formidable opponent. I saw the possibility, and I'm really feline good about this sculpt. So let's get to those final shots. There we have it, another diorama in the books. I don't think you really get a scale of how big he is. He's about the size of my head. He's pretty big. I left his flag loose so it can kind of just fly around. But I think he came out great. I really love the moon texture. Moon texture is my favorite. I love his little face. Everything about him, his lankiness. He's great. He's adorable. I don't know where I'm going to put him. He's bigger than all my other miniatures. And he's gonna hang out somewhere. We're gonna figure that out. That's my problem. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you hanging out. And again, if you like this video, subscribe, like, all that fun stuff. All right, I'll see you next time for another miniature and or medium large build. See ya.